All right, well, welcome everyone to today's webinar from HelpSystems and really IBM, as we have two great IBMI experts with us, and we will be talking Power10 Power Hour today. And basically, we're going to share what's technical specifications, the trends. We're going to talk about some of the new TRs that are available for IBMI and how Power10 can serve you as a customer as we move forward and continue the roadmap and the life and career of the power technology and IBMI and AIX. And as I said, two wonderful guests with me today. Dylan Boday, maybe you can share your background with IBM and what you do.
Yep, I've held roles in everything from development, research to quality, and now product management. And I have responsibility for all of our IBM Power Systems, our hybrid cloud focus, and everything and anything we're doing around AI and infusing AI into our enterprise type of applications. And I'm very excited to be here today with Tom and Dan and share some of the great things with Power10.
Yeah, thank you, Dylan. Dan, how about you?
Hello, everybody. So my name is Dan Sundt. Hopefully, I've seen some of you in the past. This is my 30th year supporting IBMI. I started out of college in the IBMI Support Center, and then for the last 20 years, I've been doing technical sales, kind of pre-sales role, working with partners and ISVs and customers, speaking at events. So again, might have seen you. And then at the beginning of the year, I got the opportunity to work for Dylan and join Allison Butterall as an IBMI product manager. So Allison's still here doing a great job, and I'm just joining the team to see how I can assist. So glad to talk with you more about the latest with IBMI.
That's awesome, Dan. Thank you. And so I'm Tom Huntington. I'm our Executive Vice President of Technical Solutions at HelpSystems, and I'm an IBM Power Champion, which I've been for the last 6-7 years. So I'll be working as moderator and presenter today. Very excited to be with all of you to share yet another milestone in the power technology from IBM in the Power10 technology. But before we get too far down the road, let's start with a polling question, and I'm going to launch that up in front of you right now. Will you be moving to Power10? Yes, the new 81080s, and while if you haven't heard about Power10, you might not even know what an E1080 is. Yes, when the scale out of Power10 are available. Yes, but not until our current lease or subscription to us. Probably not sure. Let's give you a few moments to take and answer that question there. So, it is new in the, I guess, life cycle of Power10. So many of you are just learning about it here today, or maybe you heard some of the earlier briefings that came out on September 8th. But we're excited about it. It just, again, shows that progression of the power technology, the roadmap that IBM continues to talk about for this platform continues to deliver on it. And so let's take a look at our results here from our first polling question, and I'll share those up here for you right now. You should see those routes or results. We have a few of you that are going to be moving to the E1080, so congratulations on that, I guess, to both you as a customer and IBM. Yes, 17% saying when we do the scale out, 28% yes, but not until our current lease subscription, which is pretty typical, and then 30% probably not, and 40% not sure. Okay, well, let's see if we can't answer some of these great questions about the Power 10 technology. And our agenda for today, we'll talk Power 10. What does this mean for IBMI? Some of the TRs for IBMI, HelpSystems, and Power 10. And along the way, I'll also sprinkle in some things in regards to AIX too. So let's first of all talk a little bit about the IBM marketplace around IBMI and AIX and what we've been seeing as a result of our marketplace study that we put out each year. We'll see that on IBMI, security is a really top item out there, high availability being next, modernizing and IBMI skills and data growth and so forth. And then as we move into the AIX technology, not sorted quite as nicely here today, but high availability, reducing IT spend, modernizing applications. One of the areas we saw a big jump in was automation around the AIX environment and so forth. Skills in both cases are pretty high in regards to what's happening with those operating systems. And I think that these top concerns really drive what IBM and HelpSystems are looking at. And Dan, any thoughts from your end?
Yeah, we find these survey results very interesting because I think it aligns very well. So we both see them and listen to them. We also like the fact that they hopefully reflect what we're putting into the marketplace. So when you look at when we came out with IBM i 7.4 in 2019, if you look at the TRs, the technology refreshes that we do, we tend to have some of the aspects that hit these top things. We're still doing things, with security. Security is top of mind for many people. So what can we do, to enhance our security or give customers more options to, monitor security? Can we give them, more highly available options? Can we enhance our existing products like Power10 while giving you new products like DB2 Mirror, applications from both compilers and languages and tool sets? So yeah, I think that, this is very reflective of what we think, and we watch over time to see how the bars adjust. But I think it aligns very nicely. And again, hopefully you could see when I talk or you hear a presentation from Steve, Will, or Allison that the way people are responding is the way we're trying to put the same kind of functionality and features into IBMi.
Thank you, Dan. And then we also have some results from both the AIX and IBMi study that we do in relationship to the progression of you as customers purchasing the Power server. And so we'll see, IBMi, we've been doing that survey much longer, and so we have quite a few more years of comparison. But as we look at 2021 today, 42% of the market's on Power 9, 54% Power 8, then we have 32 Power 7, Power 6, and we realize that in today's world, keeping your technology up to date is really important for a couple of reasons. One, resiliency and high availability, but probably the number one thing is related to security. And Dylan will talk a little bit about some of the newer security features coming in Power 10. But then we turn our attention to AIX, we'll see a similar kind of deal where Power 9 has become more popular these days. But still, there's a lot of customers that are running some of the older Power 6, Power 7, Power 8 technology. So some opportunity for movement there and moving you all along from a server base standpoint. Dan, anything you wanted to comment on that one or not?
Yep. This is again very reflective of what we see. So Power 9 scale out kind of came out in 2018 timeframe. So it takes some customers' times to based on timing of the refresh cycle of the hardware to get to Power 9, and customers that are running on Power 8, evaluating do they need the benefits of Power 9, and then Power 7 and older is pretty much end of service as of the end of last year. So as you said, customers should be looking at moving to newer technology just based on the fact of getting service, getting parts, just getting harder in the industry. And plus, as IBM, come out with new operating systems, so IBMi releases, they are not going to be supported on the older versions of hardware. So by getting yourself to newer hardware with newer versions of IBMi, you're kind of future-proofing yourself.
Well, yeah, and you think about it, just do the math. Every 3 years, IBM's come out with a new processor set of servers, and you're running Power 6, you're running Power 7. It's 15 and 12-year-old technology that you still have out there. So I just don't think you'd run other servers like that. The good news is Power will continue to run. The bad news is that you're getting further and further behind the industry. And just to remind everybody, just quickly, we do have the marketplace survey open again for this year. Every fall in the September into October, we like to do the survey at that point in time, and then we'll compile the results and present the results early in 2022. So please go out. If you follow me on LinkedIn, you'll see a post about IBMi Marketplace Survey. I know Dan, Brandon Peterson, Steve Will, and others have also posted about the survey. So this will be open up until October 15th. So please go out and fill that out. Now I want to turn it over to Dylan Boyd to talk about this new Power 10 technology. Over to you, Dylan.
Yeah, thanks, Tom and Dan, for all the great comments there. Yeah, let me turn on my camera too so you can see me as I speak. So as Tom and Dan were kind of articulating, and I think Tom really alluded to this, there's a lot of change in the environment today from an IT perspective. And what we're actually seeing is that this, rapid movement in the marketplace is really driving a lot of alignment between business and IT priorities. And that can be from a financial perspective, it could be from a security threat perspective, or leveraging the data available to an organization to draw new insights out. And if we just kind of look at these pillars here, flexibility, this could be the ability to dynamically scale your IT infrastructure, or meaning capacity on demand, and being able to flexibly shift that. It also could refer to the ways that the infrastructure is consumed, from a traditional acquisition to by the minute metering, as there's a whole span in the marketplace today. We know threats, as we kind of move through the chart here, we know threats are going to continue to arise. It's just the world that we live in today. IBM recently put a study out on the cost of these threats, very impactful to those who are impacted, and the end users associated with it. And so must continue to improve the security and resiliency. And the way to do that is always to stay on top of the most current technologies. And we believe that with Power, we have the most secure commercially available system in the marketplace. From a deriving value, it's all about AI, and really being able to infuse those AI capabilities. And then lastly, we live in a world that is somewhat remote today. There's challenges sometimes in accessing sites. You want to make sure that whatever operation that you have in production continues to run in production, and does so confidently. And I think Tom alluded to that really well, in that we have systems that are running robustly from 12 to 15 years prior. And that's a great testament to some of the great capabilities that Power Systems deliver. But there's many new enhancements across this entire span, and we'll talk through those today. Next slide, Tom. And so when we really looked at Power10 and what we wanted to design, we really looked at kind of that marketplace and the environment, how it's changing, and really wanted to design the system to not only meet the needs of today, but really build out into the future and have that flexibility. And we really, the tagline for the Power launch was engineered for agility. Basically, the way to agilely grow your IT environment as needed, and it can really build out a hybrid cloud type environment, both on and off prem, and we have great power capabilities in both environments, and we wanted to glue those areas together as frictionlessly as possible, and we'll talk through some of those great things. From what we're delivering to those last charts, we will talk about how we're making the ability to scale faster, to meet those business demands as they span both across public and private cloud type of environments. We have designed the Power10 E1080 from the core to the cloud for security, and simplifying the management across that entire aspect, with endpoint detection and other aspects available with like Power SC. Running AI, we've built AI into every core of Power10, and have really focused on the ecosystem, bringing Onyx compliant models to the platform, and really driving infusion of AI capabilities into the traditional enterprise type of applications. And this underscores, all of these great aspects are underscored by the core tenets of what Power has been known for decades, and that is that maximum availability and reliability. We believe that Power Systems, as Tom alluded to, is very robust, and it's a great opportunity for us to continue to enhance that and really provide a system which our clients all trust, from a security perspective and an availability perspective. And so we're really excited about the capabilities delivered. And I'll go into the next chart here and talk through kind of some of how do these things become real. And what you'll see on the left side of this chart is kind of the same 4 columns: being able to respond faster to those business demands, protecting the data from a security perspective, automating and bringing AI insights into the architecture, and then overall that availability, reliability. And so we'll start on to the top. And with Power E1080, we deliver a world record, a leadership benchmark on the SAP SD application benchmark for the 8-socket. Now, here's what I would tell you on this. The world record is actually a 16-socket system, also owned by us. But from an 8-socket perspective, our 8-socket E1080 outperforms that of the 16-socket x86 alternative architecture. We do around 955,000 SAPs as the benchmark is listed, and the best Intel-based system, which is a Google number, and then there's a Superdome number, is in the mid 800s. From a socket perspective, we are delivering over 4x the performance, or 4x the performance per core than what alternative architectures can provide, and it is a world record number. Now that's our 8-socket benchmark. We'll be coming out with 16-socket and having Power10 be the overall benchmark leadership. But right now we're really excited about what the 8-socket number represents, and that we can outperform alternative architectures with our 8-socket versus that of a 16-socket alternative. We know the world is modernizing, and we're very forward thinking in this space and bringing a lot of great solutions to simplify and automate the deployment of containerized workloads. But we really put a lot of performance capabilities around the Power10 processor. And we want the E1080 to be the world's greatest platform for deploying OpenShift-based environments for modern containerized applications. And so we're actually delivering over 4.1 times more containerized throughput per core than that of x86. A great value when you think about the overall software efficiency that can be had, and the ability to scale, the ability to do more work on those cores and have more end users leveraging that architecture gives clients a tremendous amount of scale and flexibility in how they deliver. From a spec-in perspective, it's a general benchmark around the overall performance of a processor, and we deliver 2.5 times more performance per core than that of x86. Now, what's really great about these type of benchmarks is when you look at our perf type of benchmark, we deliver around 50% more capacity. That capacity is derived from more cores. We're up to 15 cores from 12 cores previous in the Power9 era, so 3 additional cores per socket or per chip. And we also have more performant cores. So that gives us the 50% more capacity. And we're able to do this in the same energy footprint. This really gives our clients a great way to overall reduce their carbon footprints of their data centers by doing a tremendous amount more work with the same footprint and the same energy profile per server that we delivered in Power9. That also gives a great way when you look at these types of numbers, world record, 4 times performance per core, 2.5 times per core. We can derive a great software efficiency story. And when you really looked at the launch, and we'll talk through some more of those details, there's a lot of great capabilities out in the marketplace to consolidate alternative architectures down on significant reduction in those servers and licensing onto the Power10 architecture, and really not only bringing that sustainability message, but really bringing a total cost of ownership now into the picture, where it includes the overall data center space and software licensing. So we're really excited about the great capabilities from a performance perspective and how that allows our clients to respond faster. And what's critical to this is the ability to scale. We have Power Private Cloud with dynamic capacity. We've made some great new enhancements, and we'll talk about those later on here on what we're metering, but we really do allow our clients to scale with a pay-per-use type of consumption across the entire Power10 platform. We've introduced great new security capabilities. With transparent memory encryption, the ability to encrypt memory with a memory controller with no software allows us to encrypt very large databases and have no performance implication to this. So it's a great way to protect from physical attacks, and really do focus in and around those larger memory type of deployments, securing those very quickly, which we actually do with more crypto accelerators per core, 2.5 times faster than what we did in Power9. And there's no performance implication. So a fantastic, great security enhancement. And it's very forward-looking from a security perspective. As we move into the quantum era, the Power10 delivers quantum-safe cryptography that cannot be broke by quantum computers. And once you encrypt information, you never want to unencrypt it, even for computational purposes. And so with fully homomorphic encryption, you can actually do computational work on the encrypted information without unencrypting it, really protecting that overall security. And we protect from return-oriented programming attacks, which is basically they'll insert type of agents into the overall stack, and they'll then do something malicious with that ROM type of structure, and we really protect against those as well. And so very new and enhanced security capabilities delivered with the Power10 platform. And we continue to build out on this with AI. We've been delivered 4 times 4 MMA engines per core in the Power1080. That delivers up to 5 times the AI performance of what we delivered with Power9. It is really focused on AI inferencing with in-core capabilities and machine learning training. You can do this directly in the flow of the data. We put out some great benchmarks around this, and we're going to continue to build out the capabilities around AI. We provide alternatives to using GPU-based systems, and we really want our clients to train your models wherever you want and deploy them on Power, where you get the great security capabilities we spoke about and the great RAS associated with Power. This means as you put AI into production, you can do so confidently with the great trust of what Power delivers into this marketplace. And with ONX compliant models, common AI frameworks, and libraries to really take advantage of those MMA engines in the Power10 core, we've made it easier than ever to really start to infuse AI into all of those key enterprise applications. And from a RAS perspective, our memory is 2x better than industry standard DIMMs. As memory footprints continue to grow, we know that memory RAS is critical, and we deliver the most reliable memory into the marketplace. We've also improved our throughput significantly. We actually deliver 2.6 times more memory throughput beyond what alternative architectures can do. So not only are you getting a more reliable implementation with memory, but you're getting a lot faster access and more throughput to that memory as well. And we continue to build on the industry's most reliable commercially available server that's powered for the last over a decade with advanced recovery, self-healing diagnostic, and other type of capabilities. In that, we're really excited about what Power10 brings to the marketplace, and really we believe is the ideal platform to grow your hybrid cloud type environments on. Next slide, Dan, or Tom. I wanted to just talk a little bit here around availability. We have already announced our full server capabilities, all the way up to 4 nodes. We've GA'd at this point up to 2 nodes, and we'll have brought those into the marketplace. We are bringing out our 4-node system later this year. You can see in fourth quarter, where we'll have up to 4 nodes in up to 240 cores in total in that system, and a very large memory footprint. And now I just want to speak to the future that we will be bringing out our scale out and our mid-range servers. Middle of 22 is what I would verbally tell you, and we'll be bringing those great capabilities as we articulated with the statement of direction into our off-prem environment, which is Power VS. And so really then continue to build out where Power10 is available and different form factors as well. So we're excited we have the great systems out there that are resonating in the marketplace. It was a fantastic overall announce and launch. We'll be expanding the scale on those systems later this year and bringing out our additional server form factors in the middle of next year and introducing Power VS sooner than that as well. Next slide. If you haven't seen the webcast, I highly encourage you to go do this. And the link is here on the bottom of the chart. It was a fantastic event of great speakers from clients to partners and IBMers. The #1 analyst in the world with Patrick Moorhead was on, really talking about the Power10 capabilities and the overall value into the marketplace here from so many different perspectives. If you haven't seen it, please do. We had over 5,000 people attend live during that webinar. There's also the press release out there. If you go to IBM press releases, you can see Power10 and learn a lot more about this. Overall, great coverage, and I think we reached something like 70+ million people through the various social media and views of different aspects around the launch. So great coverage, great excitement in the marketplace for what Power10 is bringing. And so I highly encourage you to, if you have not done so, go check out the link below and watch that Power10 webcast. Next chart. And this is where we talk a little bit around our hybrid cloud capabilities. We continue to build out our hybrid cloud capabilities from both what we've delivered on-prem with Power10, where we're going, but we have both Power Private Cloud today and we have Power Virtual Server, and we're very much focused on bringing these and gluing them together from a commonality and basically simplified deployment across this hybrid cloud. On-prem with Power Private Cloud with dynamic capacity, we basically allow you to have a base capacity. You can set that to wherever that base meets your overall business needs, and then you can meter by the minute anything in and above that. You can continually have available capacity and really allowing you that to flexibly change your capacity needs based on your end user requirements. We've expanded to include both RHEL and SLES from a Linux perspective, in addition to the already AIX and IBMI environments available to not only have the server and hypervisor metered, but that OS level. And we've announced that we have plans to introduce Red Hat OpenShift metering as well, the only platform in the marketplace. So we continue to build up on our capabilities from an on-prem perspective on how we're metering and delivering this flexible capacity on-premise. It really does bring that on-prem cloud-like agility and economics. It allows you to really optimize this, great either TCA or TCO, depending on how you want to go. And we're really excited about the great progress we've seen in and around our on-prem private cloud with dynamic capacity. And likewise, with Power Virtual Server, we're seeing a great adoption of Power Virtual Server today. We continue to have power into our IBM Cloud, plus the overall, combined with IBM Storage. It's multi-tenant, shared, self-managed, basically OpEx pricing. You get the same Power VM that you're used to, and it's really without a lot of refactoring, almost zero. You can actually move workloads dynamically across these two environments, and now have a very flexibly deployment model for your hybrid cloud. And I would say we're gluing it together from a user interface perspective, and also from a financial transaction with our hybrid capacity credits. We continue to build out these great capabilities to really simplify the deployment of hybrid cloud, and we're excited about all the progress we've made in this space, and continue to look forward to partnering with you all in delivering this. And so with that, very excited to speak with you today and talk about these great capabilities. And Dan will now take you through what does that really mean? What does this great Power10 E1080 announcement mean for the IBMI community? And so with that, thank you all.
Thank you, Dylan. And before we get into Dan's updating you on what this means to IBMI, just to kind of remind you where we're at from the marketplace study in 2021, about 50% of the market is still on 7.3, 15% 7.4. Now we've seen a lot of progression here in this last year to 7.4. I think we might have seen some impacts of the work from home and the slow adoption, maybe a little bit of 7.4, but that's, I'm pretty confident has really caught up, and we'll see those results in the next iteration of the marketplace survey from this fall. The other thing I wanted to talk a bit about is IBMI in the cloud, and the fact that we are seeing more and more people that are having discussions around going to the cloud. We also are seeing customers that are already there with 6% running many functionality already in the cloud, and then a combination of hybrid, but still a lot of the market on premise. Dan, I know I flipped over those kind of quickly. Any comments on these two charts before we get to your section?
Nope. Again, I think they're very reflective of what I'm seeing and hearing from customers. So this slide in particular, that a lot of our customers are still on-prem, and so when Dylan talked about hybrid cloud, things we're doing on-prem to giving more capabilities there, but at the same time, for those that are looking to move workloads to a public cloud, we are seeing dev tests, we are seeing other different reasons to move out there, that our customers have the choices, which is good.
Awesome.
Okay, so this chart, I wanted to just make it clear. So, the new Power10 E1080 server, so our first server requires IBMI 7.3 and or 7.4. So if you kind of look back, when we introduce new hardware, we typically grab the operating system releases that are currently under support at that time. So it should be no surprise that Power10 comes out. We are currently marketing and selling and enhancing 7.3 or 7.4. So those are the two releases that we are supporting. So 7.2 and older are not supported on the Power10 hardware because those are in extended support variations. So you can see the chart, and there's another version of this chart that kind of even go back in time. You can kind of see the gradient of as newer hardware comes up, only the newer versions would be supported on the hardware. Dylan talked a lot about performance, and CPW, commercial processing workload, is the metric that we use in IBMI to kind of help us gauge generation to generation. So if you look at Power9 to compare to Power10, and at the link at the bottom, I have the IBMI performance capabilities reference manual. It has a lot of the CPW numbers. Otherwise, they're in other places too. But the 10 core and the 12 core are both available on the Power9 and Power10, so I could do a direct compare using CPW numbers. So I just did simple math of CPW numbers divided by, we measure CPW on a whole node or drawer construct. So that's 4 sockets in a node. And if you look at the numbers, it would quite impressive. So the 10 core compare is about 51% between Power 9 and Power 10. And the 12 core, which is our fastest processor in the Power 10 family, you can see that gets a little better. It's like 64%, per core. And then we have the new option for 15 core. So if you're running on older hardware, if you're running on Power 8, and you skip over Power 9 and go to Power 10, you probably from a CPW standpoint are going to double your CPW performance. And if you're older, you can get better. We also had, the Power 10 processor seems to be showing a little better single-threaded performance. So Power 8 to Power 9 maybe didn't have as much as we would like, but it looks like Power 9 to Power 10 we're going to see a little better from a single-threaded. So if you have older applications that are really sensitive to the processor and the gigahertz, you might see benefits by moving to Power 10. We also want to just highlight that it's very common for our customers. IBMI is licensed by the serial number of the system. So when we come out with a new box like the E1080, it's going to come in as a new serial number that for customers that on E980s or older P30 class hardware, that if you want to transfer, we've had an offering since 2010 for a small fee within the customer's enterprise that you can transfer your IBMI. So going again from older technology to newer technology, you can easily move those IBMI licenses. So there's no reason not to take advantage of the new technology, the new 1080. And since you're getting more core strength, if you move, let's say for example you transfer 10 licenses based on CPW and performance gains, that may be equivalent to 5 or 6 cores. So now you have those extra cores that could be available with IBMI entitlements for future growth or repurposed for development and test. So you can great story of moving to the latest technology, Power 10 technology, and transferring IBMI entitlements and LPPs where it makes sense. Next page.
Then we have the, again, from the marketplace study, a chart that relates to who's doing upgrades from the 2021 study. And you can see that, hardware only, about 6% of you had planned for that. Software only was 23%, both 29%. So, almost 60% of the market was planning on doing something here in 2021. And now with new TRs and new Power 10 technology coming down the pike, we assume that there'll even be, again, more movement as we move through 2022. Some other things that are interesting for the marketplace study in relationship to IBMI are the development languages. And I know that Dan's been around this platform, I think you said for over 30 years now. So you've seen this, transition from just RPG, COBOL, and CL, I guess, as we launched AS400 platform to today, the support of a lot of these different languages. Any surprises here, Dan, from your perspective, from a language perspective?
Nope. As you said, a lot, you buy our, Power server, run an IBMI, typically because you have, applications either that you purchased or that you run, and RPG and COBOL have been, around for, many, many years, and Java applications. So those are, there should be no surprise that those show up higher in the list. But our openness strategy, if you asked me years ago, is IBMI open? You would say, well, to a degree. But now I think we can say that when you look at open source things that were on that last slide, that are on this slide, that we have, I think it's 350 plus. Jesse Gorgin's here in Rochester is doing all he can to try and where it makes sense, what open source languages, what's open source toolkits, frameworks, web servers, what can we do to make sure that it runs in IBMI so it could be right next to your core workloads where it makes sense. We think that you are running your core business applications on IBMI for all the reasons that the platform brings. And so why wouldn't you bring those next gen applications, those next gen workloads right next to IBMI right on the platform?
Yeah, it makes great sense. And if you think about, Dylan talking about AI and things like that, as we progress as an operating system, you dial ahead, many of you will be doing some AI directly on Power as we move through the next few years. And the Power 10 technology sets you up quite nicely with the new processor for that protection. And then, I'm going to plug the survey again, fill it out, because IBM looks at this survey for what they put their efforts into from around a development standpoint. So back to you, Dan, to talk about TRs, which I think people are very interested in, of course.
Yeah, this is a great story. So hopefully you've seen a chart like this in the past that kind of shows, IBMI, our kind of typical cadence for coming out with new releases. So, we had, one time we had 2 years between releases, one time we had 4 years between releases, and we got feedback that was either too quick or too long. Between 7.3 and 7.4, we're at 3 years, and we got a lot of positive feedback that was a great cadence. So if you kind of I'm not telling you what we're going to do in the future, but I'm kind of hinting that that seemed to be a very well-received time frame to coming out with new releases, and that also seems to match very nicely with new hardware technology. And then between new releases, we do technology refreshes. So where we can't, something that doesn't have to go in the operating system, but we on new release, but we still want to give it to our customers. Let's do twice a year technology refreshes. So if you look on the next page, you have a little more detail of the kind of 2-year cadence for technology refreshes. And sometimes they tie into hardware. So the technology refresh that we just had at September 8th, one of the main components was enablement for the Power10 E1080, but it definitely wasn't the only thing that was in there. So hopefully you can see that, for 7.3 and 7.4, we are still enhancing those releases through technology refreshes. So as long as 7.3 and 7.4 are still supported, you'll have, technology releases go forward. And I also want to again point out arrows, to the right. So, sometimes people see like that last chart, they see IBMI next and IBMI next +1 and think, oh, okay, only 2 more releases. And the answer is no. That we have 2 more in development, but that does not imply an end. And the same thing here. We have technology refreshes going to the right. And as long as we have operating system releases, we're going to have technology refreshes where we're going to be delivering, new content. So we do come out with new releases, and we do get rid of or start the path of withdrawing older releases. So I thought this was a chart just as a reminder that 7.2 just earlier this year has transitioned from normal support to extended support. So we typically do 7 years of normal support, and then we have a service extension for 3 years. And this is our intent is to give customers more time, a little time to get ready to move to the new release. So 7.2, you have options to go to 7.3 or 7.4. So it's really not supposed to be meant to give you 3 more years of this running. It's hopefully give you a little more time to get to the newer releases. 7.1, we had already had the first service extension, and then late last year, based on market dynamics, we added IBMI 7.1 to Power9 hardware, which wasn't something that we had originally planned to do. So we extended the service extension. So that's kind of that little dashed lines to give a little more time. So if you buy Power9 hardware and you get a little, you can probably now go up to 2024. But really, 7.1 and 7.3 are not being enhanced by IBM. We're in various service extensions. So hopefully you can get to the newer releases, like I said, that we're where we are putting in new function. As you can see, with a new Power10 E1080, you have to be at 7.3 or 7.4 to even run on that. So as I mentioned, that the technology refreshes a lot of times have hardware functions like the enablement for the new server, but that's not the only thing. And so I'll have a couple more slides to come of these, but just as a highlight, we're always doing things with our integrated DB2 database, SQL language from, is it just the way you access data? Could you actually be using SQL and SQL services to actually manipulate and work with your system? So you'll see, increased function there, and there's webcasts galore that talk about from Scott Forsty and others on things that we do in the database to increase management and usability of the system. From languages, we talked about development, so RDI, which is kind of our strategic desktop development environment for creating applications and modifying applications, but come out with a new release. So if you're on SWAMA and you're using RDI, you should be able to get the new release and get those new features and functions. We continue to make and the changes to the RPG language where appropriate, on COBOL and etc. with open source. If you look to the upper right, the big splash was IBMI Navigator for I. We kind of replumbed it, and I'll show you a screen just shortly of kind of what it looks like. But so it's hopefully you caught that it's the new IBM Navigator. So the old one is still there, or the heritage is what we're calling it, but the new one has new modern web technologies, new features and functions. ACS has been enhanced, and then also looking at cloud. So as we making sure that our customers can have options. Cloud Storage Solutions is a product that can help customers do backups to the cloud, and I have a slide on that later. And for those customers that have moved to the cloud and are looking for kind of normal tape drive like backups, we're going to be very shortly coming out with a virtual tape library function in Power Virtual Server. So it looks like IBMI just like a tape drive, so you can do normal backups. So hopefully you can see quite a bit of feature functions there. So again, I have like 4 slides that kind of just go into detail on just a few things. So again, I thought, make sure that you're aware of, services, SQL services that, you can call directly, you can call through Access Client Solutions. So here's a new one that we added from a security standpoint. So it's a service that you would call and you can get information. And you can see that we enhanced the amount of columns or the amount of data. So went from 33 to 42. So you can just go to an SQL, you can call that, and now you can find out more information about your system. So we say that our system is so highly securable, but it really is a matter of how are you securing it? How are you looking to see how people are getting access? What kind of access do they have? What access are they using to get to things? We will give you all that information, so hopefully you can really secure the system that you would like to. And here's just another tool to give you to look at that. So new nav, again, there's lots of great information out there. Tim Rowe has done some different presentations. You can look at the page here for more information. So hopefully some of the data would look similar to our previous Navigator, but it's, kind of, again, reimagined. So if you've gone to some newer IBM products, on the left is kind of when you move your cursor over, those things on the left kind of bubble up and you have different choices. So if you want to do work active jobs and you used to how to use that in the old Navigator, you can find that. But now with the new Navigator, it's built on, again, kind of new plumbing, so you can totally customize the columns and the sorting and the personalization. If you're looking at multiple systems and I'm looking at work active jobs on one system, I can then at the bottom just scroll to another system, click it, and it changes to work active jobs on that system. So again, trying to help, for customers with multiple partitions and multiple systems. PDI, performance data is in there. So again, hopefully, this came out this week. It was the PTS for this that you can start, downloading and getting on your system. This is designed for 7.3 and 7.4. It can look back at, older systems, but, again, hopefully you'll go out, you'll get these new PTFs, go to the new website, and, let us know what you think. We think that this is, will really improve the systems management capabilities. So just like Navigator is a great, kind of systems management, so is Access Client Solutions. So hopefully you've got the word that the old product that, that you installed on your system, actually as a PC application, that's gone, that's been withdrawn, and Access Client Solutions is a more lightweight product that you can have running on a laptop, you could have running on a share, you could have it running on a memory stick that you plug in. That it's, a very light application, but very feature function rich. And so twice a year, we do updates to Access Client Solutions. So no surprise that this is in September here where the new 1.1.8.8 version is out there. So if you have ACS, you can go in there and say, is there an update? It'll say yes, and just follow the wizard. It'll help you connect and you can download and get the new version. So here's just one example of what's in the new one to enhancements to the Run SQL scripts. They have some new function to make sure that if you're actually doing a transaction and you haven't committed it, it'll kind of have you a little more, know that you didn't do that. And then we try to add a lot of insert from examples. So if you're just looking for inspiration of, how could I do something, you can go see what maybe other people have asked us for, see what the choices are, and give it a try and see, what maybe you can build out there. So highly plug, new Navigator for IBMI and Access Client Solutions. So cloud storage solutions. So this is a product that's been out in the marketplace for a little while. So if you're maybe on the small to medium size from a data set and you're just looking to get data off your system into the cloud, this is a great product. So if you kind of look at the visual at the bottom, you do a save locally. So if you had a library on your system, you would save it locally into what's called a virtual tape image, and then this product would pick it up, move it up into the cloud, and then with backup and recovery media services, if you have that product, it has the integration that if you then ever say, I want to go restore an object, and it knows that it saved it using cloud storage solutions to the cloud, it'll bring it back and then restore the object out of that. For our customers that have moved to the cloud, Power Virtual Server, again, this is an option within the cloud to also back up. And then the new enhancement is that this product has, not known for being, the large data sets and transferring, they've come up with some more adjustments, or if I like to call them knobs that you can turn to make it a little more adjustable of, hopefully give better performance as you're doing, uploads, to get the data off of your system. So again, great product, for the particular use case. if you're looking for HADR solutions, this is just one option that could then build on, Power HA or other products, depending on your RPO and RTO requirements. This is something to investigate. Okay.
Well, thank you, Dan. Really appreciate that update on what's happening with IBMI. From a help system perspective, I wanted to spend a few minutes just here in the latter half talking a little bit about what we focus on around power. And, again, going back to our marketplace study, which we look at also from a development standpoint, we know security, high availability, modernizing applications, IBMI skills, data growth, and, that business intelligence analytics are the top, 6 items on your list. Hence, we continue to enhance our products in that space, or in the case of IBMI Skills, deliver webinars like today and other webinars to help educate you on this platform. At HelpSystems, we've been in this marketplace since 1982, really, when it comes back to it, and we've developed this product line at HelpSystems and/or acquired some products along the way to deliver backup and recovery HA solutions, document management solutions centered around IBMI, cybersecurity solutions to help you out, monitoring and automation really hand in hand. That has been a common focus at HelpSystems, is helping you run IBMI and other platforms as unattended as possible. We know that if we can increase the productivity of your staff, the more you can get done working on real business issues. And speaking of that, business intelligence, we've been helping customers deliver IBMI data to many different formats. It doesn't have to be that green bar, green screen look and feel that you maybe have had in the past on your reports. And of course, capacity planning is a big part as we talk about Power10. That certainly is a big part. And then, of course, I talked automation earlier. This is done through the robot solution, the Halcyon solution, the Performance Navigator products. We provide automated scheduling, and it's not just IBMI, right? We know that most of you have Windows, Unix, and Linux servers alongside IBMI. So like, for instance, with scheduling, we can run robot schedule on IBMI, but then we can put agents out on AIX, Linux, Windows, and now we can integrate with that. Or we can do robotic process automation. We can tie that into the technology. And of course, monitoring, we want to give you the best monitoring solution to give you access not only to IBMI, but BIOS, AIX, Linux on Power. We can give you that centralized dashboard for those of you who might be running multiple types of operating systems on your Power server, and of course the BIOS server that many of us have. And then monitoring your main message queue, that's been very important. But then, Performance Navigator is a big area for us too, and I'll talk about that and what we do there. And then finally, high availability. You see high availability on the list. We're a less expensive cost solution and than some of the other solutions out there, and we are a software-based solution along with Power HA. We work on Power HA on behalf of IBM. So with capacity planning, I wanted to spend a little time on this because Power10 is readily available now on the E1050. And what a lot of people don't realize is that HelpSystems behind the scenes, we work with your business partner to help do a lot of the sizing. So we do that through our Performance Navigator product. Now it runs and collects the data on your system, and the collection part is free. We can run on your system collecting your data for many, many months, and then help give you that true picture, that be able to play back that video of what your system was like 10 months ago, a year ago, and have the statistics so that you can better plan for on-premise or going to the cloud for your IBMI, AIX, Linux workloads. So we look at IBM Collection Services, we look at NMON data, and that is what's used by this technology to help predict how many cores you need, how many the processors, memory, disk, etc., for better sizing, and so that you have a true picture going forward. Now, the other thing we do at HelpSystems, I like what Dan showed in security. We go a step further with our free security scans. This is something you can download to your server. We have many customers that run our free security scan on an annual basis. They want to see, am I getting better? And to Dan's point, we know IBMI has all these wonderful security features, but is your IBMI as secure as it should be? It's a secureable system. IBM has done a fantastic job of making the features to make it secure. As administrators and past administrators, we'll blame the guy from before that there are maybe some holes in your security. You might not have the best object level security, the network security, some of the system values. This free security scan will uncover that for you. And through that, certainly we have solutions in the security space from our PowerTech offering to help you out with things like multi-factor authentication, encryption of data at rest. It's not only important to encrypt the data for your in-memory databases, something like for SAP, but with IBMI, typically your data is out on storage, and we can encrypt the data, the sensitive data at the field level on the fly for you with encryption. Other technologies like Exit Point Manager for helping to make basically a firewall around IBMI is really important. And we've been hearing a lot about ransomware and the fear that it can also hit IBMI. So we have for many years partnered with McAfee and IBM on antivirus technology for IBMI and scanning the IFS. But we're also, you'll see some things coming out here soon where we're additionally going to be adding in some additional ransomware capabilities. We can protect you pretty good today with Exit Point Manager and antivirus, but we're enhancing those products to even go a step further for ransomware. So you can see all the technology here. There's a lot of great things that we do from a security standpoint to protect your data at rest, your data in flight, your end users, your access to the system from the outside. If somebody makes a mistake in the network, and one of the things we've seen this last year is in some of these POCs we do with our Exit Point Manager, all of a sudden there's IP addresses coming in from some other part of the world that you didn't expect. And people look at each other and go, how'd that happen? I thought we had network security outside of IBMI protecting the outside world, yet the Exit Point Manager is showing IP addresses coming in. Scary stuff, but it does happen. Let's not forget too that HelpSystems also provide products for the sister operating system to IBMI, AIX on the Power server, and really Linux too for that matter. But we can do antivirus for AIX, Linux, data security, managed file transfer. We do a lot with penetration testing today. Matter of fact, the organization here at HelpSystems, we have a whole staff of people that do penetration testing, vulnerability assessments. We have your own software that you can download to do your own ethical hacking. We have user account management software too that can run from Windows, and it can help onboard your user accounts in IBMI, AIX, Linux, all from one enterprise type interface. And then let's not forget about automation, document management, document capturing, capacity planning. We do enterprise scheduling, network monitoring, and all those other things in the AIX space that are important from an automation and monitoring perspective. And again, we don't just focus on one operating system here at HelpSystems. Probably the uniqueness is really Windows, Unix, Linux are all in play when it comes to automation, monitoring, and security at HelpSystems. And with that said, this is kind of our overall slide deck of our portfolio of all of our products. Not to spend a whole lot of time here, but as you can see, we're much more than just an IBMI company today. Through a lot of the acquisitions and organic growth that HelpSystems has done, we've expanded our marketplace quite immensely here and what we can provide for U.S. customers. So I really want to thank Dylan and Dan today and sharing their expertise around the Power10 announcement, its impact on IBMI. From this, you can see the future is bright. They continue to work on Power Server, continue to work on IBMI. For those who might have AIX also, AIX just got a new operating system level 2, 7.3. And then HelpSystems, we're continually invested in this, this environment. And matter of fact, one of the webinars I have coming up this month is an executive briefing on behalf of HelpSystems. So it's a good one to get your manager, your CIO from your company in to listen to our executives talk about what HelpSystems is doing within the IBMI arena. So very excited about this. Let's move on to our last polling question, and then we'll open it up for any questions that you guys might have around Power10. I'll leave this polling question open here for a bit, but how can HelpSystems help you? Let's connect for a tech update. Oh, tech updates. I do a lot of these. It's basically customer briefings about where HelpSystems is going with our products, where are you going with your products, so we can better understand where we can meet and help solve your problems. Maybe you want a free security scan. We also do a lot of health checks. If you're a current owner of Robot or PowerTech or any other product, we like to review. We want to make sure you're getting the most out of your software. Maybe you just want to have a automation overview or a PowerTech overview. We can also do that for you. So I'll leave that polling question open. I think we have a few comments out here. Let's take a look. First of all, do we get the slides afterwards? Yes, you should expect to get an email with the recording and the slide deck available so that you can share that with your team. Then this recording, the Power10 Power Hour, will be available for playback. So if you want to share it with somebody else, you can listen to parts of it or all of it. When the Power10 is available to order, and when is it going to be delivered? So Dan and Dylan, I think that's a question for you guys. Whether you want to talk any more about the delivery dates for, I think, really probably more the scale out type servers.
Yeah. So again, as you know, the E1080, the Power10 class, the enterprise class system announced on September 8th, and G8 on September 17th. RTRs, which has had the enablement for Power10, G8 on September 10th, the week before. So everything is available now from an enterprise class Power10 hardware. As Dylan mentioned, you know, we tend to roll out our systems in phases. So with this particular announcement cycle, we led with the enterprise class systems, and we'll come out with the scale out systems and mid-range systems next. And you know, it was post 2022. I think he said mid-year would be a guiding target. So just to let you know, so scale outs are in plan. That's the good thing, that you know that will be refreshed. But right now, the enterprise class E1080 is available and shipping, you know, for your capabilities.
Thank you, Dan, for jumping on that one. And I really appreciate, you know, we had a lot of great content. So consequently, the bad thing about that is we're almost up at the top of the hour. And I do like to finish off so that you guys can get off to your next meeting. I know how everybody is so busy. It seems like we have more meetings now that everybody's working, or most people are still working virtually. Best of luck with everything. I hope to see you at Power Up virtually next week for Common, or TechU, I think 2 weeks further out than that. I can't remember the exact date on that one, but look at on IBM's website for the TechU coming up too. So you all have a wonderful day. Hard to believe it's the end of third quarter. We're almost there. Stay safe and enjoy your families too while you're working from home. Thank you. Bye now.